Greetings, brothers and sisters. Once again, another lesson. Solid Foundation, Israelite Academy. I am your host, Shabar Judah Israel. And hope all is well with you guys. I know it's been a couple days since I have posted a video. And forgive me for that, brothers and sisters, but I am always on the go. So I sacrificed some time just to get this video out to you guys. And before we get into the title, the lesson, we give double honors to the elders, salutations to the Akim that's preaching and teaching his truth, edifying the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, because guess what? They are the chosen people. They are the children of Israel. They are the heir to the Most High's throne. Yeah, that's right. So we're going to wake up as many blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans as we can. Last but not least, we give all praises and glory, honor, and just adulation to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Yahweh who the world know as God, and Yahweh Shai who the world know as Jesus the Christ. So what is this lesson is all about? What is the lesson? The title of this lesson is The Children of Israel and Currency. Okay, the children of Israel and currency. Or you may say the children of Israel relating to currency. So what do I mean by that? Let's head over to the lesson. Take notes, brothers and sisters. So I'm going to show you guys some images of coins. And I want you to try to peep out what's going on. Now, don't pay attention to the top coins. Matter of fact, let's kind of section off the image. Now, as you can see, don't pay attention to the top coins because the top coins is the same as the bottom coins. The only difference of the bottom coins is showing the heads of the presidents, and the top coins is showing the back of the coin, like, you know, the eagle and whatnot like that. Let's focus on the heads of the president, which is the bottom coins. You see JFK starting from the far right. That's the 50-cent piece, right? You see George Washington, okay? That's the 25-cent piece. You see, forgot who this guy is on the 10 cent. Forgot who he is on the 10 cent. But you see this guy, and as you can see on the 5 cent, you see him. And then going on down to 1 cent, you see Abraham Lincoln. Now, guys, I'm not good at names of presidents, calling names of presidents on coins. I'm not good at that, you know. But if you know these names, then that's what's up. But I'm not here to point out the names of the presidents. I'm here to decode this subliminal message. Now, once again, as we started with JFK on the 50-cent piece from the far right, you see that. You see George Washington, and going all the way down to the 1 cent, which is Abraham Lincoln. I don't know if you peep game, brothers and sisters, but peep game. Okay. I'm going to come back to this, and I'm going to get another image of United States coins, and I want you to peep game. Just try to peep game. I'm not going to give away the answer right now. I want you to try to see what's going on. Okay? Let's see. Because I'm still scrolling. I just want you to see what's going on. Alright, let's take a look at these. Okay? See that? You still not seeing it? You still not seeing what's really going on? Well, let me break it down. As you can see, now you have lots of coins in the United States. We know we have lots of coins in the United States dealing with currency. You have lots of coins. But I don't know, brothers and sisters, have you ever peeped this out? You know, when you start from 1 cent, then you got 1 cent to 5 cent to 10 cent, you know, and then you got the quarter, going from the quarter to the 50-cent piece. you know, and going on up, out of just the coins of the United States, out of all these coins, brothers and sisters, out of every last one of these coins, hear me out of every last one of these United States coins dealing with currency, there is something very fascinating about the penny. Something very fascinating about the penny. It's something very conspicuous, very, very just vivid about this penny. Okay, you ever notice the penny being the only different color of all the United States currencies dealing with the United States coins? Every other coin is silver. But when it comes down to the penny is totally different from all the other coins. The penny is like a copper brownish color. Not only that, brothers and sisters, but all the coins besides the penny, they have the president's heads facing the left side. All the president's heads on the United States coins are facing the left hand side, but the penny is facing the right hand side. Abraham Lincoln head is turned to the right, while all the other president heads are turned to the left. And you can look on this on all your coins. Abraham Lincoln head is turned to the right, while all the other president heads on United States coins are turned to the left. What's up with that? What are they trying to tell us? Okay, what are they trying to symbolize? You can do it. You can see it for yourself. You can see it for yourself. You start with the penny. Abraham Lincoln head is facing the right, and when you start on up with every other coin that's silver, all the president's heads are facing the left side. Okay, see that? Abraham Lincoln head facing the right, but you have this president on the 10 cent facing the left. You have George Washington on the quarter facing the left. You understand? Okay, as you can see right here. See that? Abraham Lincoln on the top facing the right. All the other presidents facing the left. Okay, as we started out with this, JFK facing the left. You understand? George Washington facing the left. Every other president facing the left. When it gets down to who? Abraham Lincoln facing the right. Why is that, brothers and sisters? Why is that? Because when you think about President Abraham Lincoln, you think about slavery. And when you think about slavery, guess what else? You think about the children of Israel. Yeah, that's right. Because Abraham Lincoln supposedly freed the slaves in the year 1865. Remember that? Dealing with the Emancipation and Proclamation. So Abraham Lincoln had dealings on the behalf of the slaves. Every other president had dealings on the behalf of the slaves as well. Because every president that you can name, okay, beginning with history, had slaves, okay, whether you believe it or not. And they was all Masons as well. But Abraham Lincoln was called the great emancipator. Why? Because dealing with the 13th Amendment, Abraham Lincoln supposedly freed slaves. Now, he didn't free the slaves. He did not free the slaves. He simply emancipated the slaves. Now, there's a difference between 100% total freedom and emancipation. Okay? Why do I say that? Because emancipation simply means to transfer your property from one owner to another owner. That's not freeing no one. When you emancipate someone, it's just simply to transfer a particular property from an owner to another owner. That's what Abraham Lincoln did. Now, we're not going to talk about too much about Emancipation and Proclamation, but just know this. The 14th Amendment, that was really a contract between the United States government and citizens of this country. All right? That ain't nothing but a contract between the United States governments and the citizens of this country dealing with the 14th Amendment. So, for the so-called Negroes, what do this mean? For the so-called Negroes, this meant that the white slave masters owning black people on the plantation, that was done away with. Like a particular slave master just being under a slave master on a plantation, that was done away with. Being under a slave master, basically who owned slaves on a just particular plantation, that was done away with. But however, the Emancipation Proclamation, like I said, dealing with the transfer of property from one owner to another, meant that these same slaves, the Israelites, the so-called African Americans, the true Jews, right, meant that these slaves, right, masters that own these blacks on the plantation, that was done away with. But the slave master that owned the slaves transferred the property. They transferred the property. Now, who was the property? You so-called Negroes, which are the real Jews. They transferred you slaves from slave owners on the plantation to basically the United States government under the 14th Amendment. And that's emancipation. That's not freedom. So you dumb Negroes that thinking about that want to continue to say that you're free, you're not free. You've been emancipated. You've been just you property that been basically transferred. That's all. You've been transferred from under a direct slave master to the government, which is the biggest slave owners of all. That's why when you look at the White House, that looked like a damn slave house on the plantation. But enough said on that, man. We dealing with Abraham Lincoln. Why? Because his face is turned to the right-hand side. And all the other presidents on the coins' face are turned to the left-hand side. Why is that? First and foremost, you got to understand the penny goes a long way dealing with the slaves, because to this day, it never got amended in the Constitution that they still consider the so-called African Americans, the people, the black people, 3/5 of a human. 3/5 of a human. It never got amended in the Constitution. They consider us black people, which are the true Jews, 3/5 of a human. So they don't consider us to be people of high standards, right? They consider us to be low-class people. And guess what? Out of all the United States currency, when it comes down to United States coins, what is the lowest coin of all? The penny. So that's how they look at the aboriginals. That's how they look at black, or you would call colored people. They look at us as the minority. So that's why also the penny is brown or copper color, relating to the so-called blacks, the true Jews, which they had as slaves on the plantation. They don't consider us to be valuable people. So that's another reason why the 1 cent is brown. And every other cent you could think of is more valuable than the 1 cent. But I want to tell you this, it's how you look at it, because truth be told, even though blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, even though we are the minority, right? That's what they say. That's what the heathen say. The white man say. We are really the majority. You know why? It's because if people say, well, the penny, that's the lowest of all United States coins. It's not really the lowest. It's the greatest. You understand? Now, I got to bring some scriptures out on this. Let's go into the Bible. Let's bring some scriptures out to support what I'm saying. I don't want to just be talking about things and don't include the scriptures, because that's what we stand on at the end of the day, the scriptures. Deuteronomy 7:6. For thou art a holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God have chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth. So who was this told to? By the lawgiver Moses. When Moses wrote these manuscripts, who was this written for? Deuteronomy 7:6 is for the children of Israel. It says, for thou art a holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God have chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth. So even though the penny being what you would consider the lowest of all United States currency is actually the greatest. Okay, because that penny represents the blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans. That's why it's brown. And all the other United States coins are silver. But they may look at the penny as being low in the United States currency of the coins, but actually we are the majority. Guess why I say that? Simply because if you say 5 cent is greater than 1 cent, or 10 cent is greater than 1 cent, 25 cent is greater than 1 cent, 50 cent piece is greater than 1 cent, and everything and every other currency is greater than 1 cent. It all starts with 1 cent, people. You would not have what they call a nickel. I just want to show you something. You would not have a nickel if it wasn't for 1 cent. You would not have 10 cent if it wasn't for 1 cent. You would not have 25 cent, 50 cent piece, and so forth. You would not have none of that if it wasn't for 1 cent. You know why? Because 1 cent, 5 pennies makes a nickel. 10 pennies makes a dime. 25 pennies makes a quarter. 50 pennies makes 50 cent piece, and so forth. 100 pennies makes a dollar. Okay, and so forth. So when you break everything down, you got to look at it like molecules. A molecule can be broken down, people. So when you break a molecule down, breaking down molecules takes you back to atoms. Okay? Because everything starts from atoms. There would be no molecules if it first wasn't from atoms. So you got to look at a penny as being atoms. Now, many atoms form a molecule. Just like 5 pennies can form 5 cents. Just like 10 pennies can form 10 cents. 10 pennies can form 10 cents. 25 pennies can form a quarter. 100 pennies can form a dollar. 200 pennies can form $2. Everything are broken down everything goes back to atoms, man. Okay? So if you guys know about science, you know about atoms. Atoms are extremely tiny, man. You can only see atoms under a microscope. Everything is made of atoms. Everything is made of atoms in this universe. Everything is made of atoms. Atoms form molecules. But there would be no molecules if it wasn't from atoms. So you can look at 5 cent as being a molecule of atoms. You can look at 5 cent as being an accumulation of atoms that form the molecule, which is 5 cent. So 10 atoms makes, let's say, 10 atoms forms a molecule which will make a dime. Or you can say 5 atoms forms a molecule which will make a nickel. 25 atoms forms a molecule which will make a quarter. So keep in mind, while they looking at the penny as being the least of the United States currency, it's the greatest. I don't give a damn if you had $3 million. Your $3 million can be broken down into atoms because it all starts from the 1 cent. So which is really the greatest out of the currency? While people looking at a penny as being the lowest of United States currency, you don't even understand that it's the greatest because it goes back to Israel. That's why the penny is brown, because it goes back to the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. So next time someone tells you that a penny is the least of United States currency, it's not the least, it's the greatest. Why? Because this is relating to the scriptures. Deuteronomy 7:6. For thou art a holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God have chosen thee to be a special people, the Israelites, the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, to himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth. So you can just look at us as the pennies, which is above all these other coins. All right? Even though we may not seem like we above all the other coins, we may seem like the least, we may seem like the minority, but true indeed, we are the majority. Now watch this, Deuteronomy 7:7. The Lord did not set his love upon you, nor choose you, because ye were more in number than any people. See? For ye were the fewest of all people, and that's why the damn government chose when they was formulating the United States currency and coins, that's why they chose to make the penny that copper color. That's why they chose to make the penny brown, because it's in correlations to the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. It's in correlations to Aboriginal people. It's in correlations to brown people. Now, who are those people? The chosen, the Israelites. So they got this idea of the United States currency making all the other coins silver, but making the penny copper color brown, they got this from the scriptures. The Lord did not set his love upon you nor choose you because ye were more in number than any people. And that's why you see the penny brown. It says, for ye were the fewest of all people. And that's why out of all the coins, you see the penny that copper color. Talking about the children of Israel. And say, because the Lord loved you, Deuteronomy 7:8, and because he would keep the oath which he had sworn to your fathers, how the Lord brought you out with a mighty hand and redeemed you out of the house of bondmen from the hand of Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. All right. So, yeah, that's what it's all about. Dealing with this United States currency and coins. All right. Everything can be breaking down to atoms. So, don't let someone tell you that a penny is the least of all United States currency. It is the greatest. Just like words. A sentence is made of words, right? But what is words? Words is made of letters, right? But what letters made of? Letters is the smallest unit of a sentence. So, right, it starts with letters. Letters can be compared to atoms. Now, what atoms make? Compilation of letters make words, right? And what a compilation of words make? Compilation of words forms a sentence. See? So you got to understand everything can start back with an atom. Atom form molecules. And everything can be broken down. That's why you can take down $3 million and break it down to the tiniest atom, which is, you can take about $3 million, which is a molecule, and break it down to the tiniest atom, which is pennies. You understand? So, really, what is the greatest of your United States currency dealing with the coins? It's the penny. The penny represents Israel. Abraham Lincoln head is turned to the right. Now, let me explain this before I close out. The reason why Abraham Lincoln head is turned to the right and all these other presidents' head is turned to the left, because the Most High said something in the scriptures. Let me show you this. This is Exodus 15:16. Says, Salah, Exodus 15:6. Thy right hand, O Lord, is become glorious in power. Thy right hand, O Lord, hath dashed in pieces the enemy. See? So what this is talking about, man? It's talking about how the Most High delivered the children of Israel from out of the Egyptian captivity, man. Says the Most High's right hand, O Lord, is become glorious in power. Thy right hand, O Lord, have dashed in pieces the enemy. The Most High destroyed those Egyptians for the children of Israel. So thy right hand, what direction is the penny facing? The right side, man. Okay. Exodus 15:7. And then in the greatness of time and Salah, and in the greatness of thy excellency, thou hast overthrown them that rose up against thee. Okay. Thou sentest forth thy wrath, which consumed them as stubble. Because Abraham Lincoln is a representation of Egyptian Pharaoh, man, if you don't believe that. Abraham Lincoln is a representation of the Egyptian Pharaoh. All right. Okay. It says, Exodus 15:8, and with thy blast of thy nostrils the waters were gathered together, the flood stood upright as an heap, and the depths were congealed in the heart of the sea. Now watch this. Skip down to verse 12. Thou stretched out thy right hand, and the earth swallowed them. So the Most High stretched out his right hand, and the earth swallows them. Keep in mind, right. I have set the Lord always before me, because he is at my right hand. I shall not be moved. This is Psalm 16:8. As you can see, I have set the Lord always before me. Why? Because he is at my right hand. Okay, what does this right has to do with Abraham Lincoln facing the right? Because Abraham Lincoln is a representation as Israel, man. The penny anyway. That whole entire penny is a representation of Israel, even though it has Abraham Lincoln face on it. It's a representation of Israel because Abraham Lincoln had dealings with the slaves as the children of Israel. So that penny actually represents the representation of Israel. That's why his head is facing to the right, but all the other presidents' heads are facing the left. See that? Okay. Several books and chapters and verses, man, dealing with the right hand. Isaiah 41:10. Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God, the God of Israel, blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans. I will strengthen thee, yea, I will help thee. Yea, I will uphold thee with thy right hand of my righteousness. See that right hand. Isaiah 41:13. For I, the Lord, thy God, will hold thy right hand, saying unto thee, fear not, I will help thee. Talking about Israel. See? So actually, when it deals with the right, it's talking about Israel. When it deals with the right, it's talking about Israel. See Isaiah 63:12, that led them by the right hand of Moses, with his glorious arm, dividing the water before them to make himself an everlasting name. See, because that's talking about the history of the Israelites coming out of Egypt, passing through the Red Sea. So usually when you see the right hand, man, that's in reference to Israel. Anything that's dealing with the right hand, 9 times out of 10, man, is in reference to Israel. All right? And that's why all the coins of the United States currency, Abraham Lincoln is facing the right, and all the other presidents are facing the left, because that coin has reference and a lot to do with the children of Israel. All right? Since Abraham supposedly freed the slaves, which were the children of Israel. Just keep that in mind, man. That's why it's brown and all the other United States currencies are silver. Let me give you a last verse dealing with this. Well, not the last verse. I think two more verses. Matthew 22:44. The Lord said unto my Lord, sit thou on my right hand till I make thy enemies thy footstool. See that? See, because it was talking about Yahushua. It was talking about the Messiah. This is what the Heavenly Father told his son, man, which is Christ, Yahushua. The Lord said unto my Lord, sit thou on my right hand till I make thy enemies thy footstool. See? So that right side, dealing with that penny, that's in reference to Israel, man. Okay? Matthew 25:31. When the Son of Man shall come in his glory, the Son of Man is Yahushua, who they know as Jesus the Christ. When he come in his glory and all the holy angels with him, then shall he sit upon the throne of his glory. Right? Because of Yahushua is returning back in the chariots. Matthew 25:32. And before him shall be gathered all nations, and he shall what? Separate them one from another. So these nations going to be separated. We're not the same, y'all. Because Thomas Jefferson lied through the skin of his damn teeth, talking about all men created equal. We're not the same. The children of Israel is the special nation. Special people above all the rest of you heathens, man. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we rock. We rule above all you other stinking ass heathens. You white people, Asians, Africans, Arabs, East Indians. We better than you guys. And when he come back, he going to get the elect. And he's going to gather all these nations. He shall separate these nations one from another, as the shepherd divided his sheep from the goat. The sheep is the blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans. The goats is the Edomites, the so-called white man, white woman, and his children. Matthew 25:33. And he shall set the sheep on his right hand, but the goats on his left. See? So the sheep is going to be set on the right hand of the Most High, but the goats is going to be set on what? The left hand. The sheep is the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, because that's the people of Negro the ending in descent that has woolly texture hair. The goats have straight stringy hair. Okay, so they not the sheep. The sheep are the so-called Negroes. All right, that's going to be separated from these white folks and all these other heathens. Say that God going to sit the sheep on what side? The right-hand side. So the government knew damn well about Abraham Lincoln dealings with the slaves, man. by setting his face on the right hand side of the United States currency, man. They knew that. They knew that, man. No other president comes to mind in ties with slaves rather than Abraham Lincoln. They knew that. Psalms 55:17. Evening, morning, and at noon will I pray and cry aloud, and he shall hear my voice. So blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, being the Israelites, you're supposed to pray 3 times a day. Each and every day you supposed to pray 3 times to the Heavenly Father and His Son, Yahweh Shem Yahushua. That's evening, that's morning, and that's at noon, man. All right? So when you pray, which direction do you face? As Israelites, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we supposed to face the east. Now when you think of the east, in the direction of the east, is the east left or is the east right? You have north, south, east, and west. When you think of the direction of the east, is it left or right? The direction of the east is on the right hand side. North being above, south being below, and then you have east, which is the right hand side, and then you have west, which is the left hand. So is it strange? Is it strange out of all the coins of the United States currency to see Abraham Lincoln's head facing the right hand side? No, because his head is facing in the direction of the east. And why is that? Because Abraham Lincoln had connections with the slaves that he emancipated. All right? Abraham Lincoln was the only president that you could think about when it comes down to dealing with slaves in the form of emancipation. Okay? And those slaves are the blacks, so-called African Americans, the real Jews, the true Jews, which are the Israelites. And we knew to face the east. And we knew to pray 3 times a day. And we knew to face the east, which is Jerusalem. So that's why Abraham Lincoln's head is facing the right. It's facing the east. But all the other presidents on the coins, you can see that their heads are not facing the east. Because JFK didn't have no damn dealings with the slaves as the children of Israel. Y'all see that? See that? George Washington and didn't have no damn dealings with the slaves as the children of Israel. Any other president. You see that? So that's why his head is facing the right. You understand? You could be the judge. See that? Every other president head is not facing the right hand side. Abraham Lincoln head is facing the right. Because he had dealings with the children of Israel. He had dealings with the slaves, which are the true Jews, who they love to classify as niggers, African Americans, and so forth. All right? So, if you wonder why Abraham Lincoln head is facing the right, but every other president head is facing the left, because we are to face the east and pray 3 times a day. And that's in reference to the children of Israel that Abraham Lincoln emancipated, man. One more verse. I promise you. This is Daniel 6:10. Now when Daniel knew that the writing was signed, he went into his house, and his windows being open in his chamber toward Jerusalem, he kneeled upon his knees 3 times a day and prayed and gave thanks before his God, as he did aforetime. So you can see Daniel 6:10 speaks about Daniel. You know, basically there was a decree that went out that the people of that time, there Nebuchadnezzar being the king of Babylon, couldn't make no divine service with any other gods than rather the gods of Babylon. And Daniel said, to hell with that. He knew that the writing was signed. He knew that the decree had went forth. And he knew that it was said that you couldn't pray to any other god. You had to worship only the powers of Babylon. But Daniel said, to hell with it. What happened? He went into his house and his windows being open in his chambers. What direction did he face in Daniel 6:10? He faced towards Jerusalem, because that's what we are to do as Israelites, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. We face towards the east. Jerusalem is the east. You know, and then it said he kneeled upon his knees and prayed 3 times a day. So that's why we face the east and pray 3 times a day, because the east, Jerusalem is the motherland. Jerusalem is our national land that the Most High will soon take us back to, fulfilling prophecy. So you can also see 2 Chronicles 6:38. You know, about facing the east and praying. But that's why Abraham Lincoln head is turned to the right, and all the other coins is turned to the left. Abraham Lincoln had dealings with the children of Israel as slaves, as far as the Emancipation and Proclamation. So they chose to make the 1 cent brown a copper color, and all the other currency of the United States coins they chose to make silver. So I hope this lesson was edifying. You know, hope you brothers and sisters have received an important message out this lesson dealing with United States currency, and not just spending it and not really just looking into United States currency. On the behalf of Solid Foundation, Israelite Academy, on the behalf of Solid Foundation, Israelite Academy 2017. Shalom.